Hello, this is Don Hall. I'm up here at Quail Kilns again with my best bud Amanda, who's the ceramic throwing instructor here. And in this video, she's going to show us how she makes these really cool pumpkins. Say hello, Amanda.
Hello, Amanda. Okay, so I have 5.5 pounds centered. I'm going to go ahead and open it up, and we're going to make a pumpkin. I'm not too concerned with how deep I go. Sometimes I've thrown it all the way down to the bat. Sometimes I go down just about 1/4 of an inch. So either way, it's a pumpkin. Doesn't matter. You could put if you carve your pumpkin, you could put a candle in it if you open up the bottom. There's all kinds of fun things. So I'm going to open it up. I'm not going to open it up too wide, maybe about 2.5 to 3 inches at the base. I do like to compress it because I don't want to see an S-crack happen down at the bottom of my pumpkin. So I will work on compressing that. I do work a little bit fast. I can't help myself. I'm a speed demon. And now we're ready to lift the clay. And I like to start out lifting the clay down at 6 o'clock, and I push the clay up, and it can get really pretty high doing this technique. Very important, though, that you lean forward when you pull this up. Otherwise, it will go into an instant bowl. So I'm halfway where I need to be. A little wet. We're going to go do a standard pull, push in, really push in to get that height going. Go all the way up. And I'm going to focus on starting to close the pumpkin. So I'll bring the top in, and then I like to cut the bottom because I'm not going to pull anymore. Well, I actually could do one more pull. And this time when I make this pull, I'm going to start stretching the pumpkin out a little bit. Slow the wheel down, even though I'm a speed demon. Start shaping it out. Again, focusing on going into the center. Bring that top in a little bit more. And now I'll get rid of the bottom clay. And I'll push it out just one more time. Sorry. It's a little bit mucky. So I'm going to stretch it out a little bit more. The great thing about pumpkins is they don't all have to be in the same shape. You can really experiment. Some are tall and thin, some are fat and round. I like the round shape because I can cut in the sides. So now I'm going to push the top together, and I've got a nice thick lip, and that's what you want when you're making a pumpkin. And before you close it, you want to be sure that you get the water out from the inside. If you open it on the bottom, not important. I have a lot of thickness here, so I'm going to push this up. And that's going to allow me a little more clay to make the stem. Sometimes when I make these pumpkins, I end up breaking the stem off. And sometimes I get a nice stem. Use my needle tool. Oh well, we'll improvise. No needle tool.
I'm not stopping again a needle tool.
Nope, it's okay. This happens to everybody. You get a little wobble sometimes, and you can cut it off if it bothers you, or not. Sometimes it makes an interesting stem, and then you just have a little stump. Or you'll see what I'm going to do later with it and put a long stem on it. But we'll just close this up. Alright, once you close it up and you capture the air, so that's kind of a funny looking stem. And I have a little bit of a bump here, so I'll take my rib and I'll just start to shape it around. Get rid of the throwing lines if you want. Sometimes the throwing lines are attractive. I can push down a little bit on top, which pushes the air into this little recessed area. And I should be able to get a really nice round shape. It's going a little spaceship looking, huh? That's the fun thing, is they're not all the same. Okay, once you get it closed up and you get the slip pushed off and you're somewhat happy with your shape, I don't like it. I gotta bring it in. Sorry. All right. I guess, like I said, all pumpkins have their own different, unique look. But once you get the little veins down the side, it's really fantastic. So I take my finger and I just push in and go all the way up. And then I go opposite. Push in and go all the way up. And then sometimes I'll take it and put 2 on this area. Sometimes I'll just do 1. But this gives you a few more bumps, gives you a little bit more area to carve. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. Okay. And we can push that down a little bit just to expand it. And now it's ready. So here's the pumpkin. It's a little leather hard. It's a little softer than leather hard, but it's workable. And I'm going to show you how to carve down, put the stem on it, and then we're going to put some leaves. Okay, and one of the things I like to do is just solidify the impression. And then I use this carving tool, and this is a wonderful carving tool because it has a wide side and a narrow, tight side. So I'll take it at an angle, and I'll start in the center, and I'll just come down. And I do normally put it in my hand, but for video purposes, I'm just going down to the bottom. And then I flip the tool over and come back down, and I'm opening up that crease. And it will, when it's complete, you'll see lots of waving of the pumpkin, or whatever shape you choose to use. You can come back, this, because it's so soft, you can come back and use your finger, or you can use a sponge and just soften it. If you have a sharp area there, I like to really round that out so it doesn't look like I cut a piece out of it. So there you can see one. We'll do one more, and then I'll show you how I address the bottom. So I'm going to cut it down again at an angle. You can go a little heavier in the bottom because it's a much thicker piece down there. And again, I'll just use my finger. And to soften those edges, I'll use a little bit of sponge. I've also, if you're trimming a little more leather hard, I'll even shave off some of those sharp corners so it's a little bit softer. But that gives you the idea of I call it a voluptuous pumpkin. Now on the bottom, just to show you, I'll take this and I'll pull it all the way in. And sometimes I'll create a nice little flower down at the bottom with these carvings as you go around. And then this part here, I'll just trim away. So let me come over here and do this side. And then we'll see what this one little section looks like so you can get an idea. Flip that tool. And you can see how the grooves are starting to come in. And then I'll just shave this corner off. Sometimes I've trimmed them on the potter's wheel, but I find it's easier just to shave them off because when you have a chuck and you throw your pumpkin upside down, it does tend to want to put marks on your pumpkin. So this way, I'll work it a little bit. You can see how soft the clay is, and you can just smooth it out and get a nice round edge. So that gives you a rough idea about that. Okay, I'll show you one that has been finished on the bottom with the grooves cut in. You can see that. Okay, now we're going to go to the top and I'm going to show you how to do the stem. As you're trimming the clay away, you can take some of those trimmings and just roll it into a little tendril. And this is a little tendril. And then I also use a cookie cutter to stamp out some leaves. And I really like to push the leaves on the side so that you get it nice and smooth. Leaves are thin, so you want the edges of your leaves to be smooth down and thin. So these were made and they're ready to be installed. And this I pulled, and you could see I have a little stump here. So what I'm going to do is cut a hole out in the middle. We'll take that clay out. Sorry. And you want to be careful not to get air caught in there. So when you make that hole, I like to spread this out a little bit, and I'm going to score this area. It's pretty wet still. I threw this pumpkin just a couple hours ago, and we'll put a little bit of water on it just for security. And then we'll push this, you could see. And one of the things that I like to do is when I push this on, I can collapse the pumpkin down just a little bit, and it gives the pumpkin a flat area up on top. And no two are the same, which is what's so fun about the pumpkins. Sometimes I'll leave this a little raw, or sometimes I'll blend it in. It's your choice. And then I have my little stump there. And because I've carved these areas here, I'll put my leaf here. So we're going to score it a little bit, score a little bit. And with the leaf, I like to have a little bit of movement. I like to turn the edges. It just adds interest to your piece. And we'll score this, and we'll put it next to the other one. A little water. Sometimes I'll squeeze my sponge just to add a little bit of water, and we'll put that there. Kind of turn up the leaves, and then I'll put my little tendril on. And I like to make little curlicues. I think it again adds a little bit of charm. And this one here, we'll put a little twist on it. And I'll spend a little bit of time on the stem to smooth it out and even out the areas that are, with pottery, you could spend hours doing sculpture. That's one of the things that I love about it. So that gives you an idea, basically, how to start carving away your pumpkin and decorate it. Thank you.